It made me cry.
This one's wife, Harry's Humiliation. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Harry has been left out of a Sandhurst alumni book. You might wonder, what's the problem with that? And for those of you that aren't familiar, Sandhurst, or more accurately, the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, is one of several military academies in the United Kingdom, and it's the British Army's initial officer training centre. It's located in the town of Sandhurst in Berkshire. All British Army officers, including late entry officers who were previously warrant officers, as well as other men and women from overseas, are trained at the academy. So you'll also, amongst the intake, have officer candidates who have come from other countries. The level of officer training that is afforded there is seen as being amongst the best in the world, and hence there are often cadets, officer cadets, who come from typically Middle Eastern countries to be trained there. Obviously, there's an issue of payment that goes with that. The place requires funding and got into a little bit of controversy 10 years or so ago, accepting a donation from the UAE for the Zayed building, which is an accommodation block named after the UAE's founding ruler, where £15 million was donated from the UAE government. The college, however, is the place to be trained to be an officer, and extremely high standards of behaviour and adherence to standards is expected of those that attend. The motto of Sandhurst is "Serve to Lead," and indeed, when you attend, you get a book, Serve to Lead, which is the British Army's Manual of Leadership, which provides you with various observations and anecdotes from a variety of exceptional people covering subjects such as morale, leadership, discipline, the British soldier, man management, duty and service, courage, etc., from colonels and generals throughout time and history, that is read, or ought to be read, by those that attend in order to gain a better understanding of those military minds as part of the training that one receives. So Harry will have received that little red book, but it would appear that he's been left out of another book, because as Danielle Sheridan reports in the Telegraph, the Duke of Sussex has been left out of a Sandhurst alumni book that included a foreword written by his brother, the Prince of Wales. In They Also Served, 200 People Who Trained at Sandhurst, author Vaughan Kent Payne explores exceptional graduates who have gained recognition beyond the armed forces. However, while alumni mentioned include the Prince of Wales, Winston Churchill and Tim Peake, who went into space, Prince Harry only receives a small mention in a passage about his brother. It reads, "His," meaning William, "status as a future king meant that he could not be deployed on operations, like his younger brother Harry. Ben McBean, a former Royal Marine and double amputee who inspired Prince Harry's Invictus Games, said the omission from the book was a bit petty. He's done enough to be in there, he told the Telegraph. He's done more than most, but people forget that. Afghanistan twice, pilot, set up Invictus Games. I just think he's done enough to be in there. The reason he's not is probably because he's fallen out with his family. I'm pretty sure if he hadn't, he'd be in there." Prince Harry, 39, was accused of betraying the military and putting serving British soldiers and the greater public at risk after claiming in his memoir Spare that he killed 25 Taliban insurgents. See parts pass him. He revealed how in 2012 he flew on 6 missions during his second tour in Afghanistan and killed 25 Taliban fighters, whom he viewed as chess pieces removed from the board. Colonel Richard Kemp, a former commander of British forces in Afghanistan, said the omission was likely a combination of the prince having fallen out with members of his family and the comments over his tours in Afghanistan. Harry is a notable graduate of Sandhurst due to his royal status, he said. Beyond that, he insisted on deploying to Afghanistan despite senior-level opposition, and did a great deal to help wounded veterans, such as through the Invictus Games. I think the reasons he was omitted were his efforts to undermine the royal family in recent years, plus his comments about how he was trained in the army to see the enemy as less than human and pieces on the chessboard, which could easily be used to radicalise jihadists. He added, "I suspect the editors would have considered him as a suitable candidate and admitted him for those reasons, although with a cast of only 200, many even more notable Sandhurst alumni have also been left out." Mr. Kent Payne is the Executive Director of the Sandhurst Trust, the Academy's official charity. All proceeds from his book will go to the Trust. Defence sources stressed the Trust was entirely separate from the Sandhurst Academy. During his research, the author wrote biographies of over 300 notable RMAS alumni. They added, the most difficult editorial choice was to decide which of these deserving stories would not be in the finished book, and there were many exceptional individuals that were not included, including other royals. A Sandhurst spokesman said they also served highlights the breadth of accomplishments and experience across Sandhurst graduates rather than just focusing on the most well-known. It showcases a small and carefully selected cross-section of more than 40,000 British and 5,500 international officers who have trained at the Academy since 1947. Thus, Harry was omitted. It might be that he was omitted because there were simply more deserving cases, but it would also appear that he has been once again hoisted by his own petard, that his behaviour has resulted in his omission. As could be seen, the double amputee that was involved in the Invictus Games, Ben McBean, explained that he thought that Harry had done enough to be involved, but evidently not. And one would understand that he could well be omitted as a consequence of his behaviour. Where has that behaviour come from? Well, once again, his behaviour has deteriorated since along came a spider. And once again, his humiliation at not being involved, and he will feel humiliated, because the army was significant for him. A somewhat drifting individual, he gave him the discipline that was required. And it's something that he looks back on fondly. The fact that he wasn't involved and also appears really as a footnote to his brother will have been humiliating for him. But will he realise that this is a consequence of his behaviour influenced by his wife? Probably not. But it's going to be one of the things that ultimately will come back to haunt him in the future once he starts to wake up. And that neatly foreshadows a forthcoming video about how hard Harry will be hit when he does finally wake up and start to realise just what on earth he has done, which has resulted in him experiencing matters such as this, being left out of alumni where there is an argument to suggest that he ought to have been included. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.